Okay, so it's no secret that Kamui is broken. I think we can all agree on that. Kamui to this day still remains one of the most broken abilities, and not just in Naruto, but in all of anime. Specifically, Obito's Kamui. Like, Obito's Kamui is obviously the more useful one, but Kakashi's long-range Kamui shouldn't be downplayed at all, as it is very useful, and it got him out of a lot of tight positions in the series. But I want to see what would happen if we change things a bit within the series. What if Kakashi had Amaterasu instead of Kamui? So for this video, it's going to be very specific, as in we're only going to really focus on the difference of Kakashi's arsenal rather than everybody else's. Meaning that everybody else's arsenal, including Obito's half of Kamui, stays the same. We're just going to give Amaterasu to Kakashi as well. This doesn't really affect anything as far as Itachi or Sasuke. Sasuke will still have the same arsenal. Itachi will still have the same arsenal. In this video, we're not just going to be doing hypothetical versus battles with Kakashi having Amaterasu instead, but rather we're going to see how each time Kakashi used Kamui in every situation, what would have happened if he had Amaterasu in those specific situations instead.
But real quick before we get started, if you haven't yet, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Just got to 6K the other day. I want to try to get to 7K before the end of the month, so let's try to get that going. Thank you all for the support y'all have given. I really appreciate y'all's help. Y'all are fantastic. I really do love putting out content for y'all. I'm actually thinking about making this a video series, like a little mini video series of switching around people's arsenals with the Sharingan. Like, again, today, what if Kakashi had the Amaterasu instead of Kamui? What if Itachi had Kamui instead of Amaterasu? And so on and so forth. So if that's something y'all really want to see, make sure you comment below and give me more ideas for that. But with all out of the way, let's go and get started.
So for example, long story short, in Kakashi and Naruto's chase with Deidera, I'll be honest with you, I think Deidera might just get cooked. I mean, plain and simple. Like, in all honesty, long story short, he'll probably engulf Deidera, as he wasn't even able to avoid the Kamui snipe at its least refined. So unless Deidera is able to chop his own arm off, which I don't think he can do because he's still missing his other arm due to the fight with Gaara, then Deidera will likely be killed. It also might leave Kakashi in a better state than he was when he had to use Kamui, because if you remember, he had to use Kamui 3 times. He used it once on Deidera's arm, and then the second time he tried to get his actual head, and then he used it the third time against Deidera's fake suicide bombs. And with Amaterasu, with the flames pretty much just spawning wherever Kakashi's looking at, it might take less time to catch Deidera's arm, and by extension the rest of his body, than it would trying to position the Kamui portal on Deidera's head. And for those thinking that Deidera might still be able to avoid it, I mean, he was already unsuspecting and caught off guard by Kamui, so assuming the Amaterasu will likely attack or just spawn quicker than the Kamui portal that was shown in the Kage rescue arc, it's more than likely Deidera will be attacked and finished off quicker as well. Now, for those of you thinking I might be giving Kakashi too much credit in terms of how refined Amaterasu might be at this point, since, again, like I said earlier, Kamui wasn't really that refined in the beginning parts of Shippuden, I don't really know how Amaterasu is going to really start, in this case. As in, like, I don't know if it'll just, immediately be able to spawn when someone first attempts it. The only thing I can say on that, and the only evidence I really have of that, is the Itachi backstory filler arc. Now again, it's filler, so take it with a grain of salt if you want, but in that arc, when Itachi first uses Amaterasu against Yagura, the flames just spawn on Yagura, the same way they do pretty much every other opponent. So unless I'm wrong, I would assume it'd be the exact same thing here if Kakashi used it on Deidera. If he catches Deidera's arm, it'll just immediately just engulf his arm and the rest of his body by extension. Moving on to the next arc. Now, because Kakashi may not be hospitalized due to him only needing to use Amaterasu once, he might be able to accompany Naruto and Sakura to Orochimaru's hideout to abduct or capture Kabuto. Now, we could still say Yamato and Sai come, it doesn't really matter. I just wanted to take a little detour because, yes, this isn't, an area where Kakashi used Kamui, but let's just, again, take a little detour. So if this did happen, if everything went the same way and they went to Orochimaru's hideout and they had a standoff with Sasuke, I don't think Kakashi would necessarily resort to using Amaterasu on Sasuke, unless he had no other choice. But if he did, I'm not really too sure what Sasuke would do, because at this point, that we know of, he doesn't have any snake substitution. He hasn't absorbed Orochimaru yet, so he might be out of luck. I really don't know. I would probably give it to Kakashi just to go ahead and engulf Sasuke and Amaterasu, especially if Sasuke isn't aware that Kakashi has something like that in his arsenal, which he would. Like, he didn't know Kakashi had Kamui or a Mangekyo Sharingan in the first place until the 5 Kage Summon arc. So, but if we assume that Kakashi just has to go on another mission or something and doesn't go on the Century Bridge arc, then, you know, case closed. So the next time he uses Kamui was or would have been in this fight with Kakuzu. So if things proceed as they did in the main series and the fight with Hidan and Kakuzu goes the same way, then Kakashi will have to use Amaterasu on Kakuzu right as he was about to one-shot Kakashi, Ino, and Choji with his wind style enhanced fire style attack. In the main story, he tells Sakura and Naruto after the fight that if Naruto and Yamato hadn't shown up to cancel out Kakuzu's attack, then he would have had to resort to using Kamui. So let's say for a second that Naruto and Yamato take a little bit longer to get to the battlefield, and Kakashi actually does have to use his MS. Well, in that case, it's likely Kakashi would just choose to use it as Kakuzu's charging up his attack, like if not right before, which would result in a KO for Kakuzu, as that would just engulf Kakuzu himself, plus his other 2 hearts. And unless Kakuzu can quickly detach his hearts from his own body in time, then all 3 are going to be roasted. Even if they are somehow able to detach from him, Kakuzu's main body will still be incinerated, leaving the other 2 hearts to fight Kakashi and company. And with Naruto and Yamato not too far off, I'm sure they'll eventually be able to take the win. The next time Kakashi uses Kamui is in his fight with Pain. Now, Pain is a little bit trickier to talk about in this scenario. If the fight happens the same way, which we are operating on the assumption that it will, then the point at which Kakashi uses his MS is when he was stuck in the rubble after his plan to defeat the Diva Path failed. So in this case, instead of Kakashi using Kamui to teleport the nail that Pain threw at him, Kakashi is going to have to do one of 2 things. Use Amaterasu on the nail as it's thrown, or use Amaterasu on the Diva Path itself. The first option seems like it might be a bit of a moot point, as it would likely be better just to engulf Pain or like the Diva Path itself with the Black Flames, though the problem with that is that if Pain is quick enough and smart enough, he could do what Kabuto had Nagato do in the War arc and just use All Might Push to disperse the flames off of him. If that happens, depending on how much damage Pain has taken from the Amaterasu, he will maybe have another and, well, better opportunity to make sure Kakashi is dead. If that happens, Choji is probably going to end up being killed by the missile that was from the Asura Path, unless Kakashi is quick enough to use Amaterasu on the nail and quickly burn it before Pain notices and still pretends to be hit by the nail. I don't really know if that would work, but let's just say for a second that it does. Then Kakashi should be able to save Choji by either using Amaterasu on the missile or the Asura Path itself. So next time he uses Kamui would be during his fight with Sasuke at the 5 Kage Summon arc. This is assuming that the detour we took earlier does not happen. So with Sasuke at the 5 Kage Summit, and now if we're not being pedantic about it, the whole thing, we could just assume again that Sasuke would have the same arsenal with his MS, and in this case, he'll still have a Susanoo and still probably launch it at Kakashi. And honestly, Kakashi might get cooked here. Like, Amaterasu isn't going to be able to instantly burn the Susanoo arrow as quickly as Kamui was at warping it away. So in a way, we could end the video right here, and that would likely be the end for Kakashi. But if we keep going with this and say for a second that Kakashi uses MS strictly for visual perception and manages to somehow avoid the Susanoo arrow, then the scenario still plays out the same way as it did originally, with Naruto showing up, them clashing, and Kakashi just not using his MS. So we could end the video here, but let's just say that Kakashi somehow is able to survive and see how the situations in the future going forward would be with him having Amaterasu instead of Kamui. So moving on to his next time that he would use Kamui, which would be in the War arc, obviously. The first mention of it that he was going to use was during the Tailed Beast Bomb charge up, like when Obito had the 5 B2 charging up Biju bombs straight for Naruto, Kakashi, Guy, and B. Kakashi was saying that he was going to be able to suck up all of the Biju bombs with Kamui. So, like, what would he do in this case? Like, Amaterasu wouldn't work. In theory, he could use Amaterasu in all the Tailed Beasts though, but doing so will likely either drain Kakashi to a crazy extent or cause his eyesight to deteriorate, or both. But I mean, Naruto was wanting to save the Biju, so I don't really think he'd resort to, harming them too much, with Amaterasu. So I think they try to avoid that at all costs. Going on to the fights with White Mask War Arc Obito, like obviously we know Kamui was a big help, but what if they didn't have that? And Obito still had his version of Kamui. Like, what could they do? I don't think he'll be able to hit Obito, but he would be able to hit the Geto statue. That is, if he's able to do it before Obito puts up the Uchiha flame formation to protect it. But if Kakashi uses Amaterasu at the same time he used Kamui on it in the main series, then Obito won't have protected it yet. And seeing as Obito wouldn't have a way of canceling it out, the Geto statue might be finished, meaning that they may not be able to summon the Ten Tails. Maybe you could argue that Obito could still somehow absorb the Amaterasu with Rinnegan while it's, on the Geto statue, but I don't know. I'm not too sure how that would work. So that one's up to interpretation. Going on to the next time he would have used Kamui, which would be on the True Secret Orbs from Madara. But, I mean, we already know that Amaterasu does not work on True Secret Orbs, so that's a moot point. And the next time he would have used Kamui after that would be again on Madara's True Secret Orbs when he and Obito were combining their attack. And the last time I feel like Amaterasu would be useful in the Kakashi situations would be with the Kaguya fight. Let's say if he got DMS still, but he just had two completely separate abilities in both eyes. Like he still had Obito's phasing, but he only had Amaterasu in his left eye. And the only time he would have actually used Amaterasu that would likely be of good help in his specific situation was when he used Kamui on the portal that Kaguya summoned to take out Naruto. He won't be able to warp away the portal itself, but maybe he can incinerate the bone spear that was shot at Naruto in enough time. So there's that. But, that's pretty much about it. So
the only one in the war arc that would drastically change something would be the moment where Kakashi and Obito tried to Kamui Obito into the Kamui dimension to save Naruto, as they wouldn't be able to have the double Kamui speed. Now, I mean, you can say that Guy might still get there and distract Madara for a little bit, which would give Obito and Kakashi some time to still get Obito into the Kamui dimension to save Naruto, so maybe that's, a chance that could happen, but other than that, that's really the only thing that drastically changes. The whole 10-tailed Madara versus Might Guy and the 8 Gates feat that Kakashi used Kamui on the True Secret Orb, that does change, obviously. I mean, in that case, Guy would just have to wait a little bit for an opening to appear in Madara's defenses, maybe after he lowers the True Secret Orb. I don't know, because if you can't let those black spheres touch him, at all. So that's a problem.
There it is for the video. I know this was really random and kind of short, but I just want to do this video because I thought about it the other day and I was like, you know what? I really want to do this video. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Let me know if I did miss anything. I'm pretty sure I covered all the moments that Kakashi actually used Kamui that would, be reasonable to switch it with Amaterasu in. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. I might do a part 2 of this and switch it up from Amaterasu to Tsukuyomi. What if Kakashi only had Tsukuyomi instead of Kamui or Amaterasu? So let me know in the comments what you guys think. If you like today's content, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please click the bell for more notifications, guys. I got way more video ideas in the future, so stay tuned. Till the next one, LightningSnow, out.